Secure, Contain, Protect. This is the SCP Foundation's motto. This video will provide a basic rundown of the SCP Foundation for those interested in SCP. This video will cover object classes as well as the many employees of the SCP Foundation. So let's get right in. The SCP Foundation is a large shadow organization focused on containing anomalous entities, called SCPs. The hiding of anomalies from the world is commonly referred to as the Veil. Basically, they capture and study the paranormal and hide the existence of anomalies from the world. Lastly, their number one goal is to protect humanity at all costs. So what exactly are SCPs? SCPs have three primary rankings: Safe, Euclid, and Keter. For example, a safe SCP would be SCP-3108, also known as the Nerfing Gun. The Nerfing Gun is a metal Nerf gun that, when its associated dart is loaded into the weapon and fired, it will make whatever it hits worse. This downgrade to the object is dependent on the firer's opinion of worse. For example, one security officer fired it at a Coke can and it turned into Pepsi. Another fired it at the same Pepsi can and it turned back into Coke. The anomaly can be used for more dangerous things. For example, if fired at a person, it can turn them into a Neanderthal. However, the anomaly is considered safe because the definition of safe by the SCP Foundation is if an anomaly can be put in a box and left alone and requires no other containment procedures. Then it is considered safe. Next, let's look at something a little bit more dangerous: a Euclid anomaly. If you're familiar with SCP whatsoever, then you probably know about SCP-173, the statue. Let's go over a brief rundown of 173's abilities. The statue cannot move while being looked at. However, whenever not being observed, it can move extremely fast. And if it ever reaches you, its preferred method of killing is to snap your neck. So far, it sounds like it could also be a safe anomaly. Just lock it in a box and throw away the key. However, it's its last ability that makes it Euclid. Somehow, a mixture of feces and blood will appear in its containment chamber, which requires 3 people to go in and clean. 2 of the employees stare at the statue the whole time, making sure not to blink at the same time as one another, while the last mops up the floor. A Euclid anomaly is an SCP that requires some type of containment measures other than just locking it away, but doesn't pose a high risk of breaching its containment. Lastly, we have Keter SCPs. These are by far the most dangerous of the 3 main SCP classifications. For our example, we'll be using SCP-106, aka the Old Man. SCP-106 is a decomposing elderly man who can phase through anything. It also leaves a corrosive substance behind anything it phases through. If SCP-106 finds a victim, it will incapacitate them by damaging internal organs, tendons, or muscle groups. Once its prey is crippled, it will pull them into its pocket dimension, where it will then hunt its prey. Sometimes this lasts days, and 106 will release its prey only to recapture them and repeat the process. And we haven't even talked about its containment measures yet. Because of 106's ability to phase through objects, it is to be contained in a sealed container comprised of lead-lined steel. The container will be sealed within 40 layers of identical material, each layer separated by no less than 36 centimeters of empty space. Support struts between layers are to be randomly spaced. Container is to remain suspended no less than 60 centimeters from any surface by ELOIID electromagnetic supports. The secondary containment area is to be comprised of 16 spherical quote-unquote cells, each filled with various fluids and a random assembly of surfaces and supports. Secondary containment is to be fitted with a light system capable of flooding the entire assembly with no less than 80,000 lumens of light instantly, with no direct human involvement. These protocols are effective because SCP-106 has an aversion to lead and light, and is also confused by both water and oddly built structures. However, all of that is to merely slow down how often the old man breaches containment, as eventually he will escape. However, the Foundation has a recall protocol if he does breach containment. The Foundation first repairs SCP-106's containment cell, then its preferred prey, a human male between the ages of 10 and 25, is placed in the containment cell and severely injured, usually through the breaking of the femur or the slicing of the Achilles tendon. The victim's screams are then broadcast around SCP-106's current location, which causes 106 to return to its containment chamber. This is one of the victims of SCP-106. The time the photo was taken, the victim was still alive, but died shortly after. In short, Keter anomalies are SCPs that are nearly impossible to fully contain and require constant action from the Foundation. Next, we'll look at the Foundation's employees. The lowest ranking employees of the Foundation are the D-Class. The D-Class are death row inmates and other such prisoners. The Foundation sees the D-Class as expendable assets and will typically use them in dangerous experiments involving anomalies. Or, if they find a new anomaly, they'll give a D-Class a GoPro and send them in. Either way, this almost always ends with the D-Class dead or worse. Also, these guys are usually the ones who mop up 173's containment chamber and are also used to lure 106 back to his. Next is the MTF, which stands for Mobile Task Force. These guys are the Foundation's military. Typically, they're guarding Foundation sites, conducting raids, and exploring anomalies. After the D-Class were sent through. There are also about 50 different MTFs, the most well-known being Epsilon 11, aka the Nine-Tailed Fox, who are sent in when the on-site security lose control of a site. Also, just for some background info, a site is just a place where the Foundation contains one or usually several anomalies. There's also Zeta 9, also known as the Mole Rats, and as the name suggests, they specialize in containing and exploring underground anomalies. Essentially, the Foundation has a bunch of different MTFs who can be deployed when and wherever they are needed. Then, there are the scientists. These guys are the ones who research the anomalies. They are typically listed as Dr. Something in any article, and they are the ones who oversee and conduct a variety of experiments involving D-Class, personnel, and anomalies. They also typically interview anomalies and people related to anomalous events. Lastly, they are also sometimes in charge of requesting MTF to be deployed to anomalous locations or to capture anomalous entities, although sometimes that responsibility belongs to the next guys, the site directors. The site directors are pretty much exactly what they sound like. They're in charge of sites and overseeing the containment and research of SCPs at their site. They are also often in charge of dispatching MTF to anomalous locations or to capture escaped SCPs. They are also appointed by the next guys, the O5 Council. The O5 Council are the mysterious guys in charge of the Foundation. There are only 13 of them, and in most stories, they are also anomalies. They pretty much always have some kind of immortality and oftentimes other anomalous abilities. A quick note. The SCP universe doesn't have a consistent canon, so you will oftentimes read stories that completely contradict each other, which just means those stories take place in different universes. The O5s are typically used as part of characters' backstories. Another common trope for the O5s is for them to be involved in some kind of conspiracy theory. The O5 Council also have access to their own elite mobile task force, known as the Red Right Hand. The O5s are the leaders of the Foundation, and a story involving them is usually pretty good. However, they are still not the highest rank in the Foundation, which would belong to the Administrator. The Administrator is the mysterious leader of the SCP Foundation, in charge of selecting new members of the O5 Council, should one of them die or quit. Much like the O5 Council, the Administrator also changes from canon to canon. Also like the O5s, he is usually anomalous as well as immortal. And, like the O5s, any story he is in is bound to be interesting. That was just a brief summary of the information I deemed important to SCP. If you think I missed something, feel free to leave a comment, and if you liked the video, feel free to like and subscribe. Also, check out some more of my videos. In addition, you can read all of the SCP articles mentioned in this video and more on the SCP Wiki, link in the description. Thank you.